Okay.
Oh,
Welcome to the Pearl L. Crawford Memorial Library Board of Trustees meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 27th, 2021. We will start the meeting with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing on the agenda is the review of meeting minutes from June 22nd, 2021. Did everyone have an opportunity to review?
Yeah, read them online. I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
As amended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the videographer,
Okay.
so I'm able to.
Yeah. So as amended, Dave.
Okey-doke.
Everyone in favor?
I'll second.
Oh, I thought I gotta get you. Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on. Last month, we tabled reorganization of the board, and I, at this time, will accept nominations for secretary.
I would like to nominate Kathy Sandstrom for the position of secretary.
Second.
Any
Will
other-
you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Before
Before
she changes her
mind. So we're gonna just skip on the agenda tonight and we're gonna move down to MLA Studios Landscape Project. And we have people from MLA that are here this evening and have a presentation. So I'm gonna slide over so I can.
No. Is this Windows? This window? Okay, hold on.
PC screen
Oh,
on.
connect to, no, it's on. PC screen only.
Okay.
Okay, this is like new Windows 10.
Well,
No, you gotta.
I think we should just start going through that, and then I'll start here. Yes.
Okay.
We don't really need this for the first couple of minutes.
Okay.
Type devices.
Okay.
Oh, hello.
Ooh, pretty pictures.
Yes. Sorry again. So I'm Ariana and that's Amy.
Hi.
Yes, I think I've mentioned. Yeah, Joanne is in. I'm sneaking ahead. Jerk.
I have to look at the ending, so I know whether it's worth reading or not.
I
You
know.
won't
I
have
knew
a
she was
choice
gonna
to
I was like,
say.
you're gonna have a surprise for once. For once, we'll have a surprise. But it's okay. You can look at them.
Like, no, I
love this
you know,
picture.
I do that with books too if I'm not sure I want to read them. Flip to the end and see if
And then
it's.
you can't read them though, because what's the point?
Doesn't say a
I
signal.
sound like my stepmother. She wouldn't
you're
read history or
collecting.
true
I know.
crime because she already knew what happened.
I feel that way with some shows. We're watching a Netflix show right now where like 10 minutes into the episode I'm like, and this is gonna happen. Then 30 minutes later it's like, well, I called that 30 minutes
Say
ago.
enter.
Yep.
Does your husband kill you? Hush, let me watch it in peace. Because I do that to my
No,
wife.
because it's not in place on the computer. It's used
Would you just stop?
So go back to the
Yeah. Okay. We're doing good, guys. We're doing good. We're almost there.
He's usually asleep.
There you go.
Jumping ahead too.
So is mine.
Yep. No, one more.
Oh, like I said,
You might as well guess it.
No, see?
Yeah,
It's this
see where
one.
that
B.
USB.
Okay, I guess it's the other USB then. See, it didn't say USB.
through it.
It just said USB.
Let's see.
I think there was one other USB. Yeah. Maybe that. Yeah. Nope. Yeah.
You just did.
Okay. Well then.
We can start without this, and
Yes.
even if we don't have it, it's okay. Everyone has everything in front of
That's
them.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And you want to try to? Let's
You
Okay,
try.
so
We're almost there. Sorry guys, you can see it's been a day.
sorry about our technological failures at the moment, but it's okay because all of the information on the computer is also in here, so not a big deal. And if you flip onto the first page, it shows the agenda today. Thank you. So right now we're going to go through our schedule for the next several months and then review the vision statement, which we came up with based on our talks from July 8th when we had our design workshop together at the library, and also talking to Drusilla a little bit later. And then we will review the 2 concepts that we came up with and see what your thoughts are about those, and then talk about the next steps and how we're going to move forward based on what you like from the concepts and the next process in our design. So the schedule coming up right now, we're in conceptual design. Good job. Right now we're in conceptual design. So our design process is conceptual design, then we move into design development, and then we move on to thank you. Then we move on to our construction documents where things really get finalized, and then we come up with a construction set, and it gets bid on by several contractors.
Good bet.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is great. So it gets bid on by several contractors, and then it gets built. So our goal is for the construction to be complete by June 2022, ideally. And so right now we're in conceptual design, and we are hoping to finish up with the construction documents part of the design process by the end of 2021. So that would give us the first few months to figure out who the contractor is, go through any questions that they have, and then have the outdoor space get constructed in the spring of 2022. So that's our rough schedule right now. We're in the very beginning, but we're really confident that with your help, we're really on track and excited to keep moving forward. And the other part that I didn't mention is each phase we're going to be doing a cost estimate on our end. So I bet you have a lot of questions about that. So at the end of this phase of conceptual design, we will come together, come up with one conceptual plan together based on your feedback, and then we'll do a cost estimate based on that design. And each phase will have its own cost estimate, so you'll have a good idea of where things are headed and what things we want to change and add in, etc. Okay, so turning onto the next page, we want to review the vision statement, which we came up with based on the survey that you responded to and all of the feedback that we got with the design workshop. So based on everything that we learned, here is our stab at a vision statement. The outdoor space will be a beautiful natural space that will provide the library flexibility for a range of opportunities for gathering, relaxation, learning, and exploring nature to be enjoyed by families, children, and community. So really the space is for a lot of different groups of people, a lot of different activities, to provide people to be in nature, to relax in a beautiful space.
You need to tell Amy's was a teacher at one time. She's great.
Does anyone have any comments or questions about the vision statement? Because we want to make sure we reflect back on this throughout the whole process to make sure that we are achieving this vision every step of the way.
I personally like that the word flexibility is in there, since I think we do need a space that can be used in a variety of ways.
That's huge.
I would just transpose learning and relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
So we learn before we relax.
Well, it's a good point because the groups with the children's groups, whether it was like storytelling or other groups, were the most popular responses for a lot of the different questions. So it's a good point. Keep thinking if there's anything else. We're happy to refine this to make it really fit the space. So the next sheet is actually a survey of the outdoor space.
You guys are probably fairly familiar, we saw this at Thread.
So this is a view looking kind of north, pretty much north, into the space from the parking lot. So at the bottom of the screen, you kind of can see the lines of the parking spaces, and looking up into the space, you see kind of an open area which is bordered by trees. There's mostly a grassy area right now, covered by a lot of poison ivy and Virginia creeper vine. And then on the right side, there are a lot of existing trees with boulders, and it's kind of like a rocky way. There's not really a path, but you can walk through the whole area right now.
And so we just wanted to put this out there because this is also the orientation of both the concepts. And then also to remind you that this really did dictate kind of our design, in other words. So we did try to keep a lot of the existing features as much as possible. We followed the kind of the tree lines, so kind of see is where the open area, I think you'll notice. You'll see these open areas that we have. We think that it's kind of dictated from that. We're trying to really preserve that.
In a good way, like what the
Oh, yeah.
existing conditions of the space helped us figure out like where things made sense. And also talking to you on the site, we could see like which spaces felt good for certain things.
Dimensions?
Good question. So on the next sheet, there's actually a scale bar, but it's about.
So the
oh my goodness.
length is 100 and, if I remember correctly, it's like 161 feet
Yeah.
in length, and then it's like almost exactly a third of that width-wise.
Yes.
If that makes sense. I can give you better dimensions.
that's
kind of.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna go to. Is it okay if I go to the front?
Of course.
Because then I can push it.
Yeah, you
Um,
I was gonna say too, so we ended up kind of coming together with the, coming up with two concepts. And we kind of wanted to really, it was kind of almost like show a palette of items that could, not necessarily items, but ideas in which you can kind of relate and look to how the concepts are different. So you can, kind of like a menu palette, I guess is a good way to put it. So, yeah, and so then Amy kind of took this first concept, I think. Are you going to do yours first? Okay, and then I was kind of started focusing on the other one. So you'll kind of see a little bit of juxtaposition, which could kind of.
and we worked with Joanne too, so it.
Yeah,
all
it
of
was
these
all
are,
very
like,
collaborative. It's
Everyone's together.
we both just finished. We just kind of started focusing on each on individual ones.
So what I would say is, we're gonna go through two concepts. We're gonna show you the whole site together, the whole site as one, and then we'll break it in half each time, so we can zoom in and look at the different items in each area. But each concept has basically all of the same menu of choices. There's like a gathering space and smaller nooks and a pathway and gardening areas and shade. So all of those things that you wanted are in all of them, which is good. But it looks different, it will feel different, and so it's a good idea to see like what kind of feel you want.
And what we think is fun is that you can always mix and match. Which I always think
Yeah,
is fun.
that's great.
I just love mixing and matching.
And then if there's something you don't like about either of them, we can change it up. So I think about what things you like about this first concept, and we can stop and you can ask questions and tell us what you really like and things that you don't like so much, and then we'll compare them at the end.
So yeah, did you want to just, so like maybe after you kind of run through your concept, then we can go through questions?
Let's
Is
do
that
that.
probably be easier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first concept is called the Oyster, after Pearl. And the oyster in this is actually the large gathering space over here. It's kind of an oyster shape. But the whole concept is really, the pathways are really organic shapes. It's kind of more of like a rustic look. And the materials could be really rustic, but they could also have like oyster type colors, so stone or like
Or some shell aggregate.
et
in the
cetera.
paving, little pools.
So we could really lean into this theme. So starting off, there would be a crosswalk that somehow connects to the existing door that comes from the children's room in the library right now. So crosswalk would move across the parking lot, and you would end up at the sidewalk on the south side of the parking lot over here, on the north side of the parking lot, excuse me. So this is the existing curb. Here is a sidewalk, and then you enter into a arbor. And if you come in and go to the right, you would go on to a handicap accessible ramp. We'll show you some images of what that might look like. But another way you could go in is you could go up these wood steps. And throughout the entire area is a pathway system that leads you to nooks on this side, which we will take a look at some more images on the next sheet. On the south side, there's a gardening area, and way over on the left side of the sheet, there is a picnic area with some additional seating. Looking to the north, that Oyster gathering area is really that big, flexible area. It could be different surfaces. We're showing some kind of green space, not necessarily grass, which has a very large pergola providing shade. The pergola could have some kind of cover over it to provide additional shade. And then on the northwest side of the gathering area, there is some seating on the back side. So you can look onto that gathering area if you want. So it kind of creates this nice border and a viewpoint looking onto the northeast side, which is like a nice view. You're not really looking onto the parking lot. And then the northwest corner, there's some more trees, and then a little tiny water feature, which we'll look at. So this tan color is the pathway that winds through the entire space. So let's go to the next page where we can dive in a little bit more and look at some images. So this is the left side of that, the western side. So on the top left corner is an image that's a welcome arbor. So this could be an arbor which has a gate in front of it. It could either be on the parking lot side or the bottom area, or it could be once you get up to the top of the ramp or the top of the steps, depending on where we were thinking a fence or a gate might go. This could be locked at times, or it could be open all the time, but just sort of keeping kids in when they're in that space so they're not running into the parking area. So that's the welcome arbor. And then we thought it would be really fun to have a painted crosswalk. So it could be really an artistic feature. It could be like oyster shells or some other fun design. That's the next picture, number 2, right here. And number 3 is a mountain laurel railing. Is there any way we can like change the focus a little bit? I don't know if that would be helpful.
Did I do it?
I'm wondering if you could wind it down even.
Well, see, that's
The other
why
way,
the
yeah.
wrong way.
Yeah.
This way. Too much?
That's okay. You know what? I don't think the text is as important, and also everyone has the picture in front
As
of
long
them,
as you're not
too.
getting dizzy up there.
So the third picture from the top is a mountain laurel railing. So mountain laurel is a native shrub, native to Massachusetts, and now they make these railings. They can be for like a barrier on a ramp or on a staircase or anything. And they're the twigs of the mountain laurel create kind of like the spindles of a railing. And that picture is up here. There's like a cedar frame or some kind of wood frame. It's a beautiful way of like having some kind of staircase or railing. And so our thought is it'd be really nice if we needed a retaining wall here or a retaining wall along the stairs and the ramp to have this beautiful railing on the top that kind of shows this space as like a natural area, a beautiful space, not just like a railing that you need to keep people from going over the side. And we've used these before. They're strong, they're beautiful, and really would, I think, look really great in this space. There is a picture of some wood steps, so we could use beautiful wood steps or granite steps coming up to the area. And then the next image is stabilized stone dust, or some people call it decomposed granite. This is an accessible surface, but also can look much more natural than like concrete or asphalt, and is pretty cost effective. It is somewhat permeable, and it comes in different colors, so it can kind of look like sandy color or a gray color, so it gives the space a more natural feeling than some kind of harder surface, but it is accessible. And then the Oyster gathering space is that last picture on the top. So that image is actually a clover lawn, but this could be a lot of different surfaces. Something, I think it'd be nice to have something green that you feel like you want to sit on, but not something that you need to mow or water all the time. So I'm a big fan of clover right now. Going down, number 7 is a pergola. So the pergola would cover part of this open oyster gathering area. The pergola could have an acrylic top, it could have vines climbing up the top, it could have fabric on the top, so there are a lot of different options to create shade in this space. And something I should have mentioned before is that there are some existing trees that we all looked at when we went on the site together. Some of the trees we think will probably need to be removed. A lot of the maple trees are invasive species, so like they're all like clones of each other in the whole space. They do provide some really good shade, so we're gonna have to discuss which ones we want to keep, which ones we don't want to keep. But if we do add a retaining wall and a ramp, some will have to go, and some of the shade that is there right now won't be there anymore. So we'll definitely want to plant some more trees that will grow quickly and become large canopy trees, but also give some shade to this area, even if there aren't trees right away.
And those symbols with the shadow are proposed trees.
These ones. Thank
Just
you.
to let you know, and then the other ones are the what are existing.
So these are proposed trees, and then existing trees that we're thinking will remain are these ones. So this is like a Norway maple cluster right here. And then on this side over here, those are existing arborvitae trees that are in pretty good condition. And then we'll look at the other side, but there are some existing trees that are in okay shape on the other side. Another thing to note is, I know we talked about there is a lot of poison ivy, but there is also a lot of invasive vegetation that so poison ivy is a native plant, so there's a lot of vegetation that is not native that is also really bad.
It's not a native plant we want, though.
Exactly, not in this space for sure. So there's a lot of like Asiatic bittersweet, and you can see that it's winding itself around even these little oak trees that are right here. So we're definitely going to recommend having someone treat those and remove them, and we'll create a plan to figure out the best way to do that and the best timing. So that might happen before this all gets constructed. And then after those vines are removed, I don't know if you've dealt with this before on other spaces, but sometimes you get these like really spindly looking trees that aren't really in good condition because the vines have been wrapping themselves around them for years. So we'll have to take a look at what's left over when the bad stuff is taken out and what we can keep. So hopefully the good stuff we can keep. So that's a lot of this area over here. But I do think that the arborvitae that is creating a good screen between this property and the neighbor's property is going to be good. It's in good condition. We talked about lighting a lot, so some people are interested in having some type of lighting. A really simple way of adding lighting would be just to have some string lights that you could plug in when you want them, when you are having something at night or in the evening could be really pretty. So having string lights attached to the pergola over here, or if you had some other string lights, you could line them through different areas. If you had an evening event, it would be really fun. The tiered seating is the next image, number 9 over here. So right here, it's really a simple stone seat wall with a back on it. It could be really simple. It could be just be like one row, not really tiered, but it could be stacked in different ways to create additional seating in addition to what you already would have here. The next image are these basalt stones over here. So we actually use that image is from a public library in Wellesley, Massachusetts. It's a really simple recirculating system. You just need some electricity to power it. So we know that water can make us feel really relaxed, so that might be a nice feature to add, and not a very expensive water feature, so we're showing that up here. We talked a lot about the story walk and how that is really important for this library space. So in this concept, the story walk winds around the Oyster gathering area and then leaves the other space without the story panel. So this would be an accessible path, and these little pink rectangles wind around, and kids and parents can see the different stories, and then these would be like permanent little structures, posts that the story could be changed pretty easily. So there's an image of like kind of with a tree, like a log on the bottom, and then a frame at the top, which is, I think, would be pretty simple to switch stories out for Lita. And then on the bottom, we have a couple picnic tables. There are a lot of different options for picnic tables. I think Ariana has some other ideas. And then a small gardening area. So this is a keyhole garden where you can access it from lots of different sides. So you can come at from the middle, from the side. So if there was a group that was gardening in this raised plant bed, a lot of different people could use it at the same time. But it's not like 10 different raised beds that you have to maintain a lot. And it's pretty accessible. So this would be like the sunniest spot. So this is the sun would be coming from here, and this would be the best spot to grow something that needed sun. And also having a pollinator garden. So a lot of people mention being interested in having pollinators attracted to this space. But instead of having lots of different perennials throughout the entire space, we thought it'd be good to concentrate in one area, especially right when you walk in. So if someone is going to maintain it, it's right there. It's not too big. So this could be a really nice pollinator garden that you see right as you're coming in. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, and then on the right side, we're showing an image of a wood ramp. This could be lots of different materials. And then on the right side, we talked about having some kind of 6-foot-high opaque privacy fence. This is the side that would kind of face the street.
The neighbor.
The neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there are neighbors up here too. And so we could do a privacy fence up there, but we could also do layers of vegetation so that, I think there's an image on the previous sheet, so that there is kind of a wall, but not, there's a wall, but it's green. So different layers of shrubs and low perennials or low ornamental grasses that keep you from going to the other side. So just a good thing to think about today, whether you do want a fence on all sides. And this one shows the different nooks. So there are Adirondack chairs here, log seating over here, some simple wood benches over here, and different nooks that could be surrounded by really simple planting in addition to what's already there. So native shrubs and ground covers that would fill in what's already there. So keeping all of the trees that we can. And then adding in some fun things. So one thing we could add are birdhouses and a bird bath and sensory garden. So just like adding in some fun, whimsical things throughout the entire space. And I think we hit on everything on this sheet. So before we move on to the next one, these cover a lot of different things. Are there comments or questions, things that you are wondering about or love or don't really like so much?
Or would you prefer that we did the second concept and then talk about both to make it easier, or I'm not quite sure.
I question the curb.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a new sidewalk you're creating?
This would be a new sidewalk.
And it'd be beyond the curb that's
Exactly.
already there?
So it's not necessary, but yeah, this would be, so what's there right now is up until this curb.
You could even like extend the curb to do a little bit, like 2 feet off, so it's a little bit of a sidewalk, but it also is your roll, because we were concerned too about the roll barriers, because otherwise then you're gonna have to get why can't I think of what those stoppers parking
where your
stop.
cars, so your car doesn't
Wheel
go
stops,
into it.
thank you.
Yeah.
There we go. So,
We currently have granite there on that side, or is
you
it
just,
tar?
it just curb and then it goes up.
It's just curb, so it's just
Just a little,
tar.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just your standard every day.
Is it fairly flat? I mean, everything you're describing is kind of dealing with a flat piece of property. Are we planning to get it flat?
It's fairly flat in different areas, so we would have to regrade to make sure that it is an accessible path. And this plan, I think it would be really important to make sure that the accessible path goes around that gathering space, and when families are going to visit the different sites on the story walk, that is accessible. We did talk about the fact that maybe not all areas are accessible technically, so it might be interesting to have some paths that are a little bit more challenging or interesting with surfacing. So maybe, like, for example, this stepping stone path that winds through this wooded area wouldn't be accessible.
Or for example, like if you're, are you talking about the whole loop too?
Mhm.
So for like the loop, everything would be, for example, still the standard ADA minimum requirements, except for the one issue might be like 10% slope instead of 8.33. In other words, where it's like it's,
on this path, for example.
yeah, it's the for this one, because it's a
Right.
non-accessible.
So I think like you could, so on this tan area, you could take a stroller on it, but it might not be technically accessible. But there should be one path that is technically accessible for anything. So that would be this one around the oyster gathering space. So definitely areas would need to be regraded.
And I notice you don't have the circle of stones.
We don't. This one does not have a circle of stones. So if that's something you really want to keep,
No, it just,
we should keep
it was discussed, that's
Yes.
why I was like, that's my question.
No, it's a
The
good
next
question.
one keeps
And if that's important,
I mean, even
that
using
could
the stones
easily
in
be-
another pot,
Yes.
maybe. I don't
I
know.
wonder if they could be used. When I saw the basalt stones, I was
Right.
like, I wonder if that's like if they're thinking of
We'll
using
just put them
for
on
that.
end, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
But I
just
think those
stand 'em up,
stones, like,
stick 'em
It'll
together.
be a
should
story
used,
time craft
for
project.
sure.
Yeah,
And
okay.
maybe use it
You'll see Alex
I
just
wish
like
we knew
push.
the history around the stones
Right.
and why they are placed there like they
Right.
are, that's all.
Yeah.
There's no electricity out there at the
No.
moment. We'd have to do that.
No,
Yes.
we'd have to run power
Yep.
definitely, but there's also no water out there.
That's what I was
And that
thinking.
too.
So
Okay.
But we
But
know we're gonna want water.
we're gonna want water if we're doing gardening of any kind
Yeah.
out there. We'll need it. So,
Mhm.
well, also if you're gonna do like,
Well,
if we have a summer
irrigation.
like we did last year, you're gonna need to irrigate a pollinator garden.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
even if you can get away with, okay, we're not gonna plant anything.
Grunted,
What?
John.
I guess my question would
Story
be
time
running
bucket
water out
brigade.
there is winter months, what happens, who shuts off that water and like, who's gonna be in charge of that?
Right.
It's one more drain.
Yeah, who's gonna drain it out so that it doesn't freeze and become an issue the following years?
Mhm.
Do we need a water fountain out there or not? Because the library's right there, and
The
it's
library's
really gonna
right
be,
there, so
Yes, you
like the same as bathrooms. Like
Yep.
they're right across
yeah,
the parking lot.
which makes it a little easier because you don't have to drain a fountain.
Yeah.
Well, you might have to drain that fountain.
It's as simple. It's just more of coordination. It's because it's just we're just gonna need to find somebody to shut off. It's a
Shut it
shut
off.
off valve.
Right.
So.
And it's
Yeah.
all gonna be downhill.
Yes.
We'll
Yeah.
have- We'll have it
Exactly.
right there to
Yeah.
open up and open it up, yes.
But like that, I mean, something simple like that, the fire department, the highway department has to handle at a couple of other places in town anyway, so if
All
they
the
know that it's
cemeteries,
one
They could do
thing.
one more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If we were gonna be like, hello, there are 20 that you need to, that would be different, but I think
We're
one
making
more.
a water park.
Yeah.
You didn't know that.
Right.
I feel like there was a discussion my
Yeah.
first time about a water park.
Yes, there was.
No, we have one in my neighborhood and you do not.
Oh, that
No.
maybe that's where it came from. People were like really worried about a water slide, and I was like, wait, what?
No, we have a splash pad at the end of my street and no.
Yeah.
The Laurel
Uh-huh.
railing,
Yes.
where have you used that, and has it been anywhere about vandalism? I just see that as
Yeah.
a magnet for somebody to say, can we break these?
Or paint them.
So
Yeah.
we've used them in places that aren't really open to a large public group. So vandalism hasn't been an issue with those places,
Yeah,
but
just to be talked about.
I mean, we haven't had any trouble with vandalism of like the fence around by the shed or the shed itself. I mean, even when the highway department a couple of times lately has forgotten to lock, because it's 2 doors, and they've forgotten to lock the second door, and nothing has happened. I mean, we come in the morning and go, oh, need to go lock that door. And, you know, it's open and nothing has been
issues over
taken.
the 10
Yeah.
years, but
Yeah.
thankfully not many.
Yeah.
We have.
Just something to think about.
Yeah.
I guess on that same note, you know, when you've got the 4-year-olds sticking their heads in and trying
Well,
to,
there you go.
you know, like is because they seem kind of like they're twigs, right?
So they're pretty strong.
Yeah.
We have used them with 4-year-olds in that age group before, and we would have them designed so that the spaces are
It's 3 inches.
right. They would be
3-inch openings.
between like
exactly.
they wouldn't be bigger than 3 inches and smaller than 9 inches. So like the space wouldn't be enough so that a 4-year-old or someone like that would stick their head in and couldn't get it out. So it'd be big enough that, well, it wouldn't be big enough for them to stick their head in because we don't want them going through.
Yeah. No.
So the spaces would be small enough that, like, yeah, you could stick your hand in, but you couldn't get caught.
Yeah. And you can't really. I mean, they're sturdy,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And how long do they last?
That's a good question, and I'm not exactly sure I can get a better sense. They do last a really long time, and they, like, you can tell, like, they feel very strong. I don't think they last as long as, like, a steel railing would last.
And do they need maintenance, like wood cabin houses need, like, you know, hand scrubbing and
They
things
don't
like
need
that?
hand scrubbing. And the actual, like, cedar frame doesn't actually need maintenance
Cedar,
either.
yeah.
Right,
It
so
doesn't
if
be, like,
you
oiled
seal
or
it,
painted.
you can seal it every year if you want, but
Or you
it
just
can
get
weather
weathers.
naturally, which
Yeah, weather,
seems
yeah.
like a good idea. So it doesn't necessarily need maintenance. Like, if there are things that feel like they're splintery, you can take those off. But the thing is, where that would be, well, over here, that's not necessarily an area where you're gonna go and like feel it and push on it. However, like if you did use it on the ramp, that is an area where like you could, you would be touching it and closer to it, and on the stair. So that is, it would be an area where like you could push on it, but it's not an unsafe railing.
Yeah,
But
that-
I will look into the.
That would be my
longevity.
other worry about wood stairs, having just had to have outdoor wood replaced.
Mhm.
I think stone stairs would, or some other material would stand up better. I don't wanna have to be like, oh, we've had this thing for 15 years and now the stair
Yeah.
has just crumbled to pieces.
Or,
Right.
you know, dealing with it every year, like our deck,
Yeah.
which my husband
Yeah.
fixes every year.
Well, I think.
Oh, yeah, less
stone is-
maintenance, the better.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other options that would
Yeah.
require less.
Well, that's probably farther down the line too, but
I
No,
do,
it's good to.
I
it's
do
good to
like
know.
the idea of the pergola with like string lights, you know, so you could have a light that wasn't like extremely
thinking
harsh
of-
out there.
Are you thinking of that's the only place that there would be lights?
I don't know that that would be the only place, but I just like that idea that if you were doing something, it wouldn't be like a harsh,
Yeah.
like we're going to turn on the floodlights now. And I know I have like solar lights on my desk that are like, or my deck that are like string lights, and they give a surprising amount of light.
You could even do little solar path lights. I was thinking, you know, like
Yeah.
along the other
Yeah.
Well,
side.
I was concerned about like the path and all that.
Yeah.
There needs to be some kind of lighting in there.
Yeah.
By the stairs.
But I do like the pergola. I think that's a neat idea.
yeah,
Yeah,
I do
'cause there's
too.
ways to cover it.
Yeah, you could cover it if you
buy the-
needed to, or
Yeah.
we could, you know.
Well, I don't know who's gonna cover it.
Well, there could be a
Lita-
cover that's always there.
Yeah, well, that's, you know,
Yeah.
or, you know, Lita and I have done stranger things.
You can even plant grapevines,
Yeah.
and then that would.
I was gonna plant kudzu on it, but
Also, Virginia creeper, which is a native plant, is already there, and can be very aggressive, but also really beautiful fall color. So,
Portland is beautiful too, but boy, does it go anywhere.
no, yes, exactly.
And I'm guesstimating that pergola is about like 40 by 20. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking, it wouldn't be a big area to entertain it, but
But I mean, it's certainly
Yeah.
big enough to do, you know,
Any
like
story hours
children's
and
story
stuff,
hours
yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, you could do like book group out there or what have
Yeah.
you, yeah.
Yeah, and typically Usually the groups we've had in have been, maybe the most is about 5 people, 5 musicians.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's
I
a
would
big
not
group.
book a 20-piece orchestra
No.
out there. Like, you know, so if you did, and of course the thing with like this is if you had like musical performers under the pergola, there's room for
You
people
could
to
still
sit
hear, yes,
around and
exactly.
still
Yeah.
hear, which might be nice. Like, oh, I'm going to bring a picnic and I'm going to sit over here at the picnic table, or I'm going to sit in one of the Adirondack chairs, or what have you.
Are you thinking that this will be open during whenever the library is open? If we have a gate, that gate will be open and?
I'd certainly like it to be. I think
Yeah.
it makes sense that, you know, we say like you come in and you get your books and then you can go
Yep.
sit
That'd be wonderful.
with your.
I love that idea.
You know, or, you know, oh, okay, some, I don't know, group wants to have
Use
like
the
a book
space.
group or something. We could just, the same as we book any other space.
Yep.
We could say, you're gonna, you know, South County Partnership wants to do a children's program out there. We could say,
Nice.
yes, it's available for that
I'm
time.
gonna find the knitters.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Let's move on to the next concept because I think
knitters
that
will be
a
at the
lot of the
picnic
comments
table.
are
I had a
gonna be
feeling, I had a feeling this was gonna happen. So, yeah, I'll kind of just go over the one that I kind of started going with. See, we're different, great minds have different things happening here. So, kind of just quickly walk you through the site. So I kind of wanted to approach it, we're very limited in kind of where we want to make this connection. And so there's only very few spaces if we're only trying to take away one parking spot. So you either have this one or Joy. So mine's here. My idea, instead of the ramp, it's instead of ramp doing a back and forth and kind of, it actually kind of creates these 2 rooms, and it's called the loom because there's kind of this conjoining idea, and we're doing this whole weaving idea. So I'll kind of start with the left, over on the left. And so this whole idea is, so I kept the rock garden, or excuse me, I kept the
A
stone
rock
circle
circle.
and turned it into a rock garden, thinking you can also use to retain some water and have the runoff also go in there. So it could be, I'm calling it, I don't want to call it a sunken garden, but like kind of something that can kind of help with that, but then also have plants and things. Those are some Adirondack chairs kind of back there looking at this stage, or little deck, but I have underneath a full shade structure, excuse me. And then, so kind of in here, because we have a separation of trying to separate here, you have a little bit, kind of just like on the ramp you saw before, you'll have a little bit of a retaining wall. So there'll be a little retaining wall here. But this is our gathering area, so then you'll have some benches. This kind of has a planter wall that then kind of helps divide the gardening, so the gardening area, just planter beds where Amy and I magically place them in the same location, knowing, thinking like that's the perfect place. But then this option also gives you a little quick stair hop if you wanted to do that. But it kind of creates a full circle. And then, so in the corners you have the 2 picnic tables as well to kind of look, to also watch there's a stage happening, an event happening there, you can sit on the lawn, or you can just do things also on the lawn, and you can move your furniture. The idea is that continuing the rock garden, there's a little bit of a seat wall, which is kind of identified by this thing. Should have called that one out. That it kind of helps with, you can actually kind of like sit a little bit. It'll be like little 6 to 9 inches kind of going up to help with the grading. That's going to kind of try to go this way. So, yeah, so then you can kind of use that also as a stair. And then the idea is that you can use those same rocks from the rock circle to kind of also sit on and watch, because the plants will kind of be a little bit more sunken too. So it kind of creates this little, same idea, little hangout area. And then with this, I did not know what a story walk is. So, man, it took me like 5 tries to figure this out. Mine kind of, it's so funny, Amy and I ended up switching. Mine are everywhere now. Mine ended up going kind of these little story walk panels, the same idea. Just kind of shows you an idea of if you want a larger trail versus a smaller story walk trail, or how important that is. Yeah, I think they're like kind of they're all staggered in there. So then I also have these kind of like 2 little green screens that kind of, you'll see it in the next slide, just to show it up to kind of show some separation. I feel like I should just go to the next slide. There we go. Because yeah, so you have these little green it's just getting us to the next one. So anyways, this is get to that later. This is my idea of there's another option as a stage structure or pergola very something a little bit more simple, something that kind of can kind of have a nice little flare up or flare down to kind of help with kind of capturing and creating shade. Kind of a little bit more like different types of benches. So I have a lot of different seating options. Maybe a little too many, but I hope you like them. Just to give you a little menu. So there's a little big bench for welcoming. Then you have a little welcome sign. You know, kind of this enter, gather space, kind of highlighted by the big rock that already exists out there. And then the ADA, I was showing a different type of picnic table up in the top left. If you want to look at that's a different type of ADA table. I think it's kind of cool. Then you kind of move along here to the rock garden with the Adirondack chairs or rockers as well. So you can have different plants, but super low maintenance because they're rocky plants, they're sedums and things. And that's the whole point of this whole option is that it's very, very low maintenance in that outsides are like pollinator, your other stuff that kind of is a little bit messy. The only thing that this guy would have to mow, I tried to make these play with the shapes to make it look natural, where the guy would have to only mow this one spot. All you got to do. And it's mostly a straight edge. I can play around with using the rocks that are there. But so it's that whole type of that whole idea of keeping the low maintenance. So that's why this is a plant bed, but it's so it'll be maintained because it's in a container. We can go to the next slide because then that might show that one better. Yeah, because that'll make things easier. That's what I meant to say by green screen.
Oh, I
don't know why
like the
put 'em over here.
swings. The swings
Yeah.
would be fun.
So I put adult swing, so
Those
we
are
have
cool.
this little conversation swing area where I thought it would just be simple, easy posts where you essentially kind of creating your own little swing frame. I've seen them before, just really simple. Giving other people a different way for people to sit and enjoy the area. I have this big network of a foraging path is what I was calling. You're kind of trying to say that's like a lot of forest floor plants that don't grow super duper fast, but like things like we were joking around, like I love picking those little strawberries. Like those are, and that's a great ground cover too. I can't remember who we were talking with about foraging. I just thought it was such a cool idea. So I had this big network of little stepping stone paths that I thought could be fun because the planting material under here would be really simple. It's kind of what's there, and like kind of what Amy said is kind of more just enhancing that environment. So then kind of moving through here, keeping the big boulder, kind of moving through here, see little story panels. There's a nice big long bench here, just if you're having a couple people hang out or not trying to be solitary, maybe there's two people, who knows. Then in here, kind of called this the little meeting circle or the congregation circle. I put movable furniture in there as well. I like these ones are the stable ones. Thought it would be a really kind of cool way if you want to have a little meeting or a little powwow session or a way to maybe, have a little classroom, or if, you're doing one little story time, kind of you're able to have a little circle. And then over here, I thought this would be a really fun thing because I really love these loungers. Who doesn't love a good lounger? But they're permanent loungers. So I thought that would be actually kind of a really cool, interesting, fun way to do that. And they have, they make these really cool, like little attachment tables. Really awesome. So you can like put your coffee down and drink and just like chill out and read your book. Yeah, so I'm also talking about retaining as well. Just wanted to mention that. So my whole idea is that you have the ramp. It kind of is up at a little bit of an angle. There is a whole purpose to this. There was this juxtaposition between the circles that I was trying to do. I wanted to make sure I could save as many things as possible on site. So that's why this kind of fun dynamic. So you kind of have some little bit of a zigzag. But so we're going to kind of put a little bit of retaining kind of push back here to kind of help us with the grade that way. And then with that in mind is that then this kind of we'll have to have a little bit of a retaining this way too, because we're already seeing a whole bunch of washout here, so we're going to need some sort of stacked some grade separation. But I stabilized. We were both kind of thinking on the same page with this decomposed granite. It's a great surface material.
Is it loose or it's not loose?
No, you use a binder, so it's like you use.
Okay.
So what they do, it's considered permeable, which is really great too. And
Yeah.
A lot of
that
people
would-
say that it's really funny because it doesn't feel like it's permeable. You're like, it's hard as a rock. When we get samples, it feels like a rock. But yeah, it stays. It doesn't like, it's not like what I always, when you're thinking, you know, run out a baseball diamond.
Yeah.
It looks like that, but it doesn't come off.
It does
So-
like track a little bit, but not as much as regular stone dust.
Yeah.
It's like going on like a hiking trail
Yeah,
minus
they used
the,
it. They
yeah.
used it when they redid the school near me and put
Yeah.
the splash pad in.
Yeah, they've been
That's,
using it
that's
a
what
lot.
they use. And so the splash pad, it looks almost like it's solid rock, but the water drains through it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I didn't realize they used it for the splash pad.
Ariana?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's on like the edge.
Explain the ramp thing.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. So yeah, the ramp. So I just had it so the gate would be simple, just a simple entry here. So then the gate. So this is the ramp up that way to get to us to grade. That ramp might be a little bit. I gave it a little bit of extra room just in case, so it could actually probably be shortened. Oh, I forgot to. That's why. So that's there. So then you have the steps. So then that's why I was kind of just trying to show. I thought it'd be kind of fun. They don't need to be this tall, but in the bottom left corner. I kind of just nicely like placed a little couple green I thought it'd be kind of fun to put a little bit of a green screen to give the pergola, the stage a backdrop almost. You know, in other words, to kind of like if you're watching a concert or something, it's got like a, and it also gives like if you wanted to use the park and you're not in the event, you can go hang out over here and it still feels, you're there, but you're not, you're in a different, you're kind of feeling this different experience. So, yeah, so that's kind of how I think that was it. Oh yeah, the story. Oh, I already said story panels. Okay, sorry. Did it?
As I'm going up the ramp.
Yes.
Near number 7.
Yep.
Both sides of that ramp.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a retaining wall? Are we?
Yep. Just a little bit.
A little bit.
Yep. It's kind of it would essentially be the same type of work that you'd have to do for a zig. I mean, it depends on how you want to treat the space. So like if you for your entry. So like that ramp. That does the thing with having a ramp like Amy's and Joanne's or the other concept is this one, yeah, is that you're gonna have less wall. But if you think about it, it's the same length of ramp because we're trying to get up. So so this one you would have to play with, not trying to say like this one's the wrong, but or anything's wrong or whatever. But with this one you'd have to play with grade a lot because you'd have to get up to here pretty quick compared to like which I was. Like that's why I tried to break it off the other way where it's kind of longer so you wouldn't have to bring up that grade as much. If that makes sense.
And your concept basically makes it almost 2 areas.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
It's very much more 2 areas than your concept.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So I think this still
That's-
has 2 areas, but the
It's-
ramp and the other one separates it more.
Yes, which is why this is why we kind of wanted to show you because we have to have
Yeah.
this ramp, right? So kind of either there's always ways to reposition things or do when we were playing around with the dynamics or you know how to we just also don't want to take up space, so we're also trying to think of it in a good way like where it's like, well, let's not just make a crazy looking zigzag ramp just to make a ramp. So.
It's raining.
Oh.
Storm
fun.
just came through.
But
Have
anyways,
a wonderful
I
storm.
kind of like the first though, where it's
Yeah.
2 areas, but it's not such a hard divide
Yeah.
with the ramp in the middle.
Okay.
I kind of feel like that's a little more.
I agree.
Since our space is not huge.
Right. And I don't know if it's just my visualization, but the ramp doesn't appear to be as big in this concept here. Like it doesn't. The other one seems to. I don't know. I like the first.
They're
one.
probably
Serious
similar
lightning.
size, but
The one
Like
is
you
in a
said,
smaller.
length, it's gotta be similar, just to
Right.
get up
But
to
the
right.
one is
Yeah.
kind of in a, like I said, I like that. Okay
Oh
then.
my gosh.
It's gotta have
I
the-
like that the first one, it's 2 spaces, but it's also one cohesive whole. So
Yeah.
if you were doing something like a concert, you wouldn't feel like you had the concert side and the not concert side.
I like the
Um,
seating options in the second one.
Yeah, I definitely want the swings.
I want the lounge.
so this one has a lot more like modern look.
I wouldn't even say modern. It's just more of contemporary because
Contemporary.
it's clean because it's stuff that like I purposely picked. Like you can always like these chairs. Like that's why we always use these LOL chairs. They're really cool. They're actually made out of plastic bottles. I recycle these plastic bottles and turn these into Adirondack chairs. So those types of things. But like the wood is like I think they're trying to pick things that like have a really good like Ipe wood or something that's very, very structural and hard, that'll wear with age like it's supposed to, but it'll still be there. So it's kind of more of, but I guess you could say like, I wouldn't say it's like more modern, it's kind of more of just clean, I guess the good way to put it, straight lines versus wiggly lines is a good way to, is kind of how we ended up trying to separate it, is that mine's just kind of, this one is kind of showing just straighter, the other one's showing wiggly.
They come in different colors and.
Oh yeah, for the Adirondack and the swings and the.
In both concepts, are we storing a lot of stuff for the winter months?
We're not storing anything.
I was gonna say, if it's like the Adirondack chairs that my neighbors have, they can sit
They-
out in
they
a
can-
blizzard and they are fine.
Yeah.
Because they're not wood. They have the ones that are recycled.
Yep, that's
like
the
real heavy
plastic
duty
bottle.
things.
Yep.
Right.
And they
so
just
are like that too.
they
Yeah.
just sit there year round. It's really fun when the snow
Are they
is like
heavy?
2 feet high.
Are they
Yeah.
heavy?
They
Yeah.
are pretty heavy.
You're not gonna pick one up and run off with it
Yeah.
slung
Like,
over
you
your
can drive it
shoulder.
somewhere,
Yeah.
but you're not. But your 3-year-old's not gonna drive it.
Yeah, and you're
Even an adult, like the LOL chairs, they're really sturdy.
Yeah.
They're like,
Good.
yeah, they're not like I
Like-
said. You're not gonna pick one up and be like, "Let me run this," next door. No,
Yeah.
you have to want to move them.
yeah.
Like really want to move them.
Yeah, I have one on my deck, and it's perfect for reading.
Oh, nice.
Lower,
Yep.
it's not, it's more modern design, like in number 4.
Yeah.
It's more set up that way.
Yeah.
But the minute you sit in it, you're at the right angle for your book, and then the side pieces for your coffee.
Exactly.
Whatever you're doing.
And then
I
you
love
have
those
to
things.
get out of them.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it keeps you exercised.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I leave it out there all winter.
But yeah, I do like the variety of seating options in the second one.
Like the swings.
Yeah,
I
I
love the
do.
swings.
I personally would like a swing.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
know.
Yeah, the loungers are nice too. There's always like 6 of them in really fancy airports, and they're always full.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
And they don't necessarily, and that's why we were also, Amy was trying to, I think, point out too, they don't have to be specifically these ones. It's just, these are just kind of the idea, so. Because that's, we were both like, oh no, are they gonna think it's.
What about
Exact one.
what about the fence? So we have been thinking about there being a fence on the right side,
To open,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then maybe on the left side, not a fence because the arborvitae create a pretty good
And there is a
fence.
wall there, isn't there?
Oh, on the other side.
Mm-mm.
I think that's.
It ends, I think it ends right there.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that wall ends there.
I'm just used to looking at the back of the library.
Exactly. Yeah, so the wall ends.
But-
And then, so we're not thinking there's a fence all right around, but we can change our thinking.
Mhm.
I mean, so long as there's something to prevent, like hordes of people tromping through, which, having tried to walk through arborvitae, if it's fairly closely planted, you're not gonna just wander through casual.
Yeah.
I mean, after you grade this and all that, things could change, even on the side where we abut the neighbors on the
Mhm.
far side of it.
Well, so on the north side, that long side up here,
Yeah, that's what I was.
what do you think about so our options are really put a tall fence or put a shorter fence that like kind of blends in with plants in the front, or just plants. That is kind of a layered plant material that if you were really determined, you could walk through it, but it really does create a border.
I mean, I would kind of think that personally, the shorter fence,
A
but
short fence
that
as well.
you weren't gonna look at and be like, there is a wall there.
Yeah.
You know, so visually you felt like you were in a larger space than you
But
really
what's
are.
your fence keeping out animals?
You.
Well, I guess a fence would
I'm
keep
thinking-
kids from going out
want them
and,
to
but you
change
could
things.
hop over it.
Yeah, teenagers coming in
You
at
could get
night
over if it was
could
low
get right
enough.
over.
But
And-
I feel like
and
if
for
we
that
have a,
gazebo with the lights.
knowing the teenagers, at least that we have, they would be more likely to view the tall fence as a challenge to be got over, and a small fence they can look over and be like, meh.
and realistically, I mean, they could come in the front, they could come
They could
in,
go in.
they could just climb in
yeah.
the
If you
entryway,
really-
right? So like,
if you really want to get in there, you can get in there.
if they, yeah,
But
are they going to I mean, and if they do, we can just put a security camera and then.
I mean, we have a
That was
security
already-
camera that covers the lot anyway.
Does
Yeah,
it?
so
That
it's
Yes.
like-
that was
Oh,
one
yeah.
of my questions.
That's how I
before.
saw them before the last board meeting. I was like, oh, there's people in the lot. Oh, I know who that is.
What do you think about, so this one has like more windiness and this one is cleaner?
I kind of
I
like
like
the
the
wine.
I like the windy.
Yeah.
I do like the wine.
The wine part of it was good.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love the foraging paths that you
Uh-huh.
have here, and the idea of the alpine strawberry cover. I really like that.
How about something like the rock garden, no? Water.
Well, I like
Yeah.
that too.
Do you want to keep that circle? So no matter what, we can keep the stone somewhere, but do you want to keep it where it is? Is that important?
Not important to me.
I don't
Not
feel
to-
like to reuse the rocks would be a nice touch somewhere, but I don't feel like that circle necessarily needs to be
Has to stay.
exactly there.
Yeah.
I was even
There's a
thinking
weird
of like where the
vibe.
log seating, you have log
Yeah.
seating in one of the pictures. Maybe the stones could be used as some
Yeah,
seating.
something like that, you know.
Another difference, which I would like to hear about, is this one has like a stage, which is a very simple, like 6-inch high, like tracks or wood platform.
And the pergola's over, that's what I
And
just
the
was
pergola
about to
over
ask.
it.
So the stage structure's over lawn on the other one, this one's over like a stage seating gathering area.
So you could do
Personally,
like
I
a story
kind of-
time on the stage or on the lawn.
I kind of feel like putting it over the lawn area is one bit more flexible, that you can use that one area in more ways.
Does this area need a stage or something like that?
I don't know. Right now, we have, the Fells Room doesn't have a stage.
The Fells Room,
Okay,
we're
but-
not, they're not used to having
Before
a
we
stage.
propose that though, sun, we can't cover the lawn.
Yeah, well, that's if you do the pergola like that and then have a cover that is pull-overable, for lack of better, that's, the theater that I work in, that's what we have on the patio for things. There's essentially a framework like that, and if we need to, we have like it's the same cloth I think they use for shade growing tobacco, but it's like provides some shade. But we can
It's like a
just-
net kind of.
Yeah, and you can just pull it over and it throws
Pulling
more
or
shade.
mechanical?
No, we do it by hand.
Well, yes.
You just grab
Pulling
it.
or mechanical?
I mean,
What
it
would you like
takes-
then?
I mean, you're looking at a 40 by 20.
I
Know
think
what I
we
mean?
can come up
Pulling-
with some
pulling it takes nothing
different
'cause it's not
ideas for
heavy.
that
All
though.
right.
But would that provide enough sun to keep everything growing underneath it?
Well, see, that's why I would think we could have a cover that we used if we needed
It's
to,
pulled back, yeah.
but that stayed pulled back most
Right,
of the
but if there wasn't a
time.
cover, is there still?
Oh, I would think
a
so,
pergola make
especially
it
for
enough?
clover.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think clover would be
Clover's
okay.
pretty
And see,
happy
clover
about.
is the last thing I would wanna put for me.
Yeah.
I think I'm sure it's a different type of clover, but when I think of clover, I think of bees.
You do, so you would get more bees because
And I
it
don't
does
mind
have
bees,
flowers.
but not where I'm sitting.
Well-
Like, you know, if you're all gonna be sitting there and it's all clover,
You got a bunch of
I won't,
three-year-olds.
yeah, that to me.
Yeah,
That
no, I
wouldn't
mean,
work.
I have clover in the backyard, we have clover all over our neighborhood, and we've never had a problem with the bees are kind
But
of
if
like.
that's what you're thinking as the space.
But like the
I
bees
don't
are
know
like,
that I
oh,
would
there's
want
people
that.
here, I think I'll leave, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think I think that's a good point, and we'll definitely propose different surfaces for that area that you sit on, so
Yep.
it doesn't have to be clover.
Don't they also have a clover that doesn't flower that people use as their grass?
It's maybe micro clover.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
I'm not sure if it, I have it in my lawn and I'm not sure if it flowers. I'll have to check.
So just another question too. So the other thing that we were trying to accomplish, so with windy, you get a lot more maintenance.
Because there's more edge.
Because there's more edge, there's more having to deal with all the other stuff.
Well,
So
part
that's
of
just
that would be though, like what we plant.
So everything green is planting, is considered planting or landscape.
But I mean, if you use like perennials or what have you, you know, you can make it lower maintenance.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess what is the maintenance?
there are ground covers you could use.
Yeah, I mean, that I would
Yeah,
think more
and,
ground cover along the edge, you know, like strawberries, you're not gonna mow the strawberries.
Right, so it wouldn't be mowing. In the first, I think that there would be some weeding for sure, especially when things are getting established.
I do that around the building anyways.
Right.
Much more weeding.
Much more, I was gonna say, you're adding a lot more to that little,
Yeah.
just around the building.
But, you know, and that's the other kind of thing that, you know, we have teen volunteers coming out our ears, and I can see saying, okay, guys, we're gonna go have a weeding party
Yeah.
this afternoon.
I don't know.
Or a gardening
I don't
club.
think they'd
Yeah,
like-
I can see them
no.
pulling flowers now.
Well, that's why
I thought it was weed.
that's why you send an adult out with them.
Yeah.
Same as, you
Yeah.
know.
See, we don't
I
have to make a
think the-
decision about this now
But-
again.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
more something to think about,
But
which is the
I
two
like
juxtaposition.
the feel of windy better.
Yeah.
I do too, but.
And
then
What if
that
there
is-
was a mirror? What if there was a marriage between the two?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I think we can
A
marry.
little bit
Yeah.
windy in some area and the
Yeah.
rest is all.
How do you like the oyster concept? Like, is that important or is it not a thing?
Not for me.
That it be the shape of an oyster?
It's a
I think
stretch.
when we were trying
I
to
mean,
get
the
just
concept
the
being like
curl.
I
the
know what
lawn
you're-
as the
yeah.
shape of an oyster?
Like, is it like fun or not a big deal?
Yeah, I
Not
don't
for
think
me.
it's a big
I
deal.
think the idea of the oyster was maybe like if there were a little water fountain.
Mhm. Yeah.
Looks like an oyster.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
a little
Pearl.
bit so that you can make the reference to pearl.
Yes.
But
That said,
not
it's
the
very
shape of
clever.
the garden, the grass, nobody's gonna go in there and say, oh, that's the shape of the pearl.
Right.
I mean, of a oyster.
Right.
Well, you never know, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
I'm trying to
less
think if there's anything else that we
important
really
to have it
I'm
shaped.
gonna
to
throw a
know.
kink in the whole thing.
Go
When-
for it.
Yeah.
When I walk up there, you know, I've been involved with this for a while, when that is like 60 feet deep,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
when I walk up that first 5 feet, I'm kind of up in front of what's now the rocks.
Here.
We go back a lot, well, I thought we
Right,
went back a lot
right.
further.
But
We all thought we
don't.
did. We
No,
didn't.
We don't.
We
So
don't.
there, so, but
Well, I
this
think the
boulder is a
original
good.
survey was very misleading because it really was the parking lot. To me, when I looked at that prior picture and the shading,
Right.
I was like, that's not the lot even.
Yeah.
So I think when they surveyed, it's more accurate.
Yeah.
Because when you
This
look at the
is-
shading, it really is, it's way down into the parking lot. So I think that's maybe why you misconceived how far
But
back
I
it
think
went.
the assumption was that entire green area
That green,
was
yeah.
us.
And it
Right.
It's not. It's
That-
half
that's surprising.
half us and half
So
belongs
if you go
to.
there again though and look at that boulder, that's this one right here. It's the biggest one.
Yep.
That's the edge.
That's the edge.
Okay.
That's right on the line.
But
So
in a way, like it gives us such a good amount of space to have. It's not too much space. It really feels like a good amount to us.
I'm gonna throw
It's
another
like
thing
a
out there.
little-
Do
I was
we
gonna
wish-
say Ben and I has already asked me about
Do we
this.
wish to investigate the owners and the possibility of buying and making this bigger? We have the wherewithal to do it. Do we
And
wish to
know
make
we
it a
know
bigger
who
spot?
owns the other half.
And there's no vehicular easement. There's no accessible easement to it, right? Isn't that
No.
what the issue is?
Well,
Because that's why you can't actually
I went
access
and looked
it.
at it on a map afterwards, and the gentleman that came to
Yeah.
the, he is in a landlocked.
Yeah. Oh.
He is, but the property between is not. There is a full lot from Schofield Ave all the way back. That's the next.
Oh yeah,
lot
that is the
to
next
us.
property. You're right. You're right.
So
I
it's
don't know who
not
that is.
landlocked.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is someone's
But
property.
36 Schofield owns
Yes.
from
the next-
Schofield
all the way
back.
to back.
Gotcha.
The people that came to the earlier session.
Yeah.
Own the next piece
Yeah.
over,
Right, right, right.
and
Yeah.
they are landlocked.
Yeah. That
But
okay.
their-
That's
their
what they
house
have.
is landlocked.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
But 30,
Yes.
like I said, 36.
No, I'm
owns.
just, do we have any desire to make this bigger?
I think we've got enough room here.
That looks beautiful the way it
Let's
is.
not kill ourselves.
We don't want to have too many people in there. We want it to be peaceful.
Well, I think we also
Fine, I
want
just-
it to happen,
That's why I
right?
said I wanna
Like,
throw it out there.
Yeah. There's plenty of room, I think.
I mean, my personal feeling is it looks like we can fit everything that we want in the space we
Yeah.
have, and that's
That's
that
the
much
whole idea, yeah.
that much less maintenance.
Well, that's-
You know what?
You know me.
Right
I'm-
on.
I'm low maintenance.
And
I'm-
it's also that empty space there gives us a little bit of a buffer zone, you know, that'll kind of be behind.
Yeah, because it's the other person's backyard, you're saying.
Yeah, but there's
You-
trees
it's-
down.
Oh,
they
well, obviously
essentially,
there are trees there.
I mean, I don't
The trees
think,
I thought we owned.
I don't think they ever go into that. It's
No.
like they only use half their
Right.
property, but
Yeah.
that gives us that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, trust me,
You
I
know.
think
And
they
I
may
don't
think
think
we
they
own
would-
it.
I don't think they would split
It's
that
always
lot.
been associated with the
Yeah,
library,
it's true,
so
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
No, but I mean, I double checked with the assessor and was like, okay, where are the property lines? And yeah.
Okay, good, okay, just
So-
throw that out there at this point.
There's a couple next steps that we want to talk to you about. But I think that, like, Ariana and I have a good idea of what you like and don't like. It sounds like you want the space to be one big space with the ramp leading up to that one larger space, and having windiness, but not too windy where it is too much maintenance. We like the foraging paths. We like the shade over some kind of seating area. And we like the fun, different types of furniture that could be in the nooks throughout the space. And the rocks should stay, but not necessarily in the existing configuration. And we want a fence on the north side, but not necessarily a privacy fence. We want to see
I
the
really
beautiful
like
trees.
the concept I think it's in the first concept. I like the first concept with the arbor,
Yes,
like at
I
the
like that.
entryway. I
Yeah.
really like
That's welcoming
that.
and magic.
So I really have to say that I like the first concept's entryway. I really do, I do like that one.
We will have to take a parking spot. So that I let you know.
One.
At least one
For the crosswalk.
for the
So we
crosswalk.
only have 54, I think we can live.
I know everybody was saying that we couldn't take a parking spot last time, so that's why
Yeah, no, I mean, we have-
that's why we were really. If we could take more, like if we could take two.
Don't be greedy.
I was gonna say, don't get greedy over here.
Can I take two?
Well, what's the point you're trying to make?
No, so okay, so as I mentioned before, so like if you're trying to connect it nicely to what the door is across the way, if
Yeah.
can move it over one more, because I can make two and make it a really nice entry, so that's like a sidewalk. You can actually kind of integrate it, and so the ramp, not even just in this just in general, the ramp won't even have to take up as much space, and I also don't think we'll have to get up on grade as much, because
I like
it'll.
that.
Yeah.
I
It'll create kind of
personally
a little
like
bit more of a real entryway, because we're having to set it back because of the roads right there. You know, like we just.
I think we'll try to
do.
design it and see how that helps.
Yeah, we can show another reason, but we just wanted to make sure, because I just remember that was.
I'm in favor of you taking two parking spots. I don't know how everyone else feels.
I second that.
Yes,
We could.
did.
Why, we have to.
We can
have
check.
so many-
But you did.
Oh, it did.
And we were over by a few.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, we are over
We
though.
were-
I know that
did,
we're
and we were over
over.
by a few.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're okay there. We can
We're
do that.
over by, I can't remember, but we can take two. I
And-
know we have that
Yeah.
many.
And we could remember we were talking with them too. If worse comes worse, we could probably talk to planning. And on
Yeah.
that back drive, remember you were saying it was way
Yeah.
wider than the standard fire lane, which I think it is.
It is, yeah,
You
because you can
could
get two
put-
vehicles past each other back there.
You can get striping. You can get
Yeah.
little parallel
But-
park
but
striping
we
on
have-
one side.
I know we have
for
more
overflow.
spaces than we're required to have.
Okay.
No, we
so.
don't.
Oh, that too.
Perfect.
Oh,
Cool.
There you go, that
Awesome.
answers that question.
great. Cool.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all of your ideas and come up with one concept.
Smush it all together.
Yeah, that you're gonna love. But so that's our next step for the design. And also, while we are thinking about our next steps, we're also thinking that there are gonna be some outside consultants that we would like to have on board to help us along. So we're thinking it would be great to have a structural engineer look at the retaining walls, hopefully an arborist take a look at some of the trees that we want to keep and see what they would recommend to make sure that we keep the trees that are really important here.
Mostly good structural pruning.
I was gonna say it also,
Yeah.
I personally would like to make sure that the trees are in good
Yep.
Yes,
condition.
exactly.
But I believe at the second meeting, were there people that,
Paul Wheelock was very knowledgeable on trees that.
right, is that someone we could actually?
I don't know what his experience is, but I know Liza said he knows everything.
So
about
that is
trees.
actually goes
That's
to what
why
we were
we're-
gonna ask if you. We would love for you to think about if there are people like an
Right.
arborist,
Yeah.
maybe a structural engineer, also an electrical consultant to think about the lighting and potentially a
Electrical,
plumber.
the town has a
Yeah.
Great.
dude. I have his card, I'll send you his info.
Great. So our plan is for your next board meeting at the end of August that will have some ideas about what consultants would be useful and necessary, and also be able to show you this like conglomeration.
Smoothie. The smoothie that comes out of the blender.
Yeah.
So is it possible, like those foraging paths that were in the second concept?
They can be in the other one. They
Yeah,
can
that's
be in
what
the
I
new
was
Yeah.
one.
wondering, like,
That-
those can be in
Yeah.
the first
Yeah,
one
so, okay, so,
almost,
sorry,
right?
maybe I'll just, so anything that you liked in any of them, like, that's why we were
Yeah.
trying to do two
Yeah.
totally different ones,
Yeah,
to
I
kind of
like
give
the
you a
foraging
menu.
things, and yeah,
Right.
because I just
Yep.
feel that we could do that in some
Oh,
of the
absolutely.
yeah, green space.
No, like probably the oyster, well, because we'll have to start looking at it more too from like a real, like the curvy paths from a real construction standpoint. So
Yeah.
we'll actually like, because these are a little bit more on the conceptual side, so we just need to, you know, so some shapes might get a little bit straighter. They won't get too straight, but you know, like we'll kind of start figuring that out, and we can kind of then fit in some foraging paths and.
Yeah, I really like the nooks. The
little-
nooks.
the
If we can
little-
somehow meld the nooks with the foraging paths
We can
like,
do that.
into one, that would be, and keep the swings.
Okay, we're getting, okay, we know that the swings are sold.
Swing seems to be a
Grab
high
some of
thing,
that,
so
grab
maybe
some of that.
more than one swing.
Yes, yes.
We had 3 in there. Do we need more than 3?
3 is
No,
good.
three
No,
should
3
fit
sounds
all of the
good.
library staff, so
Yeah.
we're fine.
Okay, good.
Except George. George gets a lounger.
Perfect. George deserves
They'll have to fight.
So I
does.
have to wrap up because I have to help put our kids to bed.
Before we
You
lose
can-
you,
yeah.
I was speaking to some of the Crawford daughters, and one question was, the girls would like to donate something in memory of their father.
Oh, heck yeah.
And they mentioned a piece of art from the woman who bought the house, and I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
guess what?
That's
Pat has
awesome.
already asked me her name, because you and I had already exchanged that
That's
before I talked to
amazing.
Joe.
Right.
And
That's so
so
cool.
kind of think of something that we might use with Maddie. I don't think Maddie has been approached by anybody yet.
Not
Can I
by.
send you a link to her website?
I forwarded it
Yes.
to you guys. Yeah.
Local artists and a lot of abstract things, but some not so much.
Yeah, there's some very
Do
interesting
they mean like
pieces.
sculpture?
Yes, she does outdoor sculpture.
does,
She has sculptures that are in some very prominent locations in
In
this
memory of
country.
Hugh?
What?
Rather than of Pearl?
Well, that's just it. We might sit down with her and talk about, I don't know if it's in the entry, you know, that's your department. but
Yeah.
We should think of something like that, because they would like to do something. And I think if we can figure a way of honoring
That'd be lovely.
Buzz somehow, we honoring him by naming or whatever. The oyster and the pearl was a neat idea, so, I don't know.
The
Keep
loom.
thinking in the,
Well, we had the loom, which was,
The loom or weaving, or
Right.
yeah, weaving together community.
Yeah.
but yeah, I just had to throw that out before we lost it.
Yeah.
I was proud of that statement. I came up
I
with that
can
one.
tell that you were very
I
proud
was
of
really
it.
excited about that one.
I'm gonna put the lights on.
Yeah, I will.
She did her cross stitching.
Yeah.
I was also thinking about the painted
Woo.
crosswalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
or
just
that too.
along the edge of it have like like a pearl necklace that made the edge.
Uh-huh.
That would be
Something
awesome.
like that, just painted on.
That'd be super cool. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah.
That's a Pat project.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have our
I think
resident
that's a
graphic
David
designer.
Wyatt project.
Oh, that was my HDMI cable.
This one's yours. No, that one.
That's fine.
Thank you for your time
Thank you.
and
Thank you
everyone
very much.
there.
Very
you.
fun.
Sorry, and thank you for putting up with me and my most hecticness, because we've had a crazy couple weeks.
No, this is.
Have a careful drive. I don't know if it's still.
Yeah, it looks
Sounds like maybe it's better.
Yeah, hopefully it's over.
Yeah, it looks like
Let's
it's gonna
wrap
be
up
funny.
before it hits again.
We gotta do timing here.
Yeah. Quick, quick.
freaking out.
Who's
right
got their
now.
radar on their phone?
My husband's like, "Are you coming
haven't-
home? It's coming. Are you coming home?"
And she's already said that to you?
He's oh yeah, he's
Dun, dun, dun.
7:04. Are you coming home? There's a big thunderstorm.
No, yeah, I'm very sick.
I'm gonna wait it out.
funny.
Yeah, as always, feel free to send your things to Priscilla. If you
Yeah,
have any
whatever it
comments
is.
or
Yeah, and
Something we missed.
I'll send you guys the name of the guy who works with the town for electric.
Oh, great. Nice. And if you can think of other people that you know in the town that would be.
Yeah, Liza and Paul.
Okay. I was gonna say, I know a lot of arborists, but they're all in Connecticut, so that, and not in like Woodstock, so that doesn't necessarily help.
Or
Yeah, the
somebody who
real
does
expert.
invasive species management, something like that.
Oh, we could hire my uncle.
Well, I know Liza's
Oh
an
no, not for you,
expert.
because you're not a town.
Yeah.
So they would
I don't know, I think Paul maybe too, but he's
Yeah.
head of the conservation.
We don't have to all that.
I like fire starter.
But he knew when we were walking the land, he would exactly the invasive trees and.
Yeah.
He was very hopeful.
That guy's
We're in a good condition and,
Oh, yeah, he would know.
yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
for
you.
listening.
Thank you.
Safe
Have-
travels.
Have a safe trip home.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Spaghetti.
Oh my God. Can do this.
Take care.
Bye.
Travel well.
Will do. You too.
All right, so, yes, that was. Nice ideas. All right, so moving on, we will go through the director's report.
So programming, summer reading, this is the last week. I
Already?
do not, yes.
That
I-
went by so fast.
It did, and thank
Wow.
heavens for that. It has been a very crazy summer reading. I do not have numbers as of yet because we actually had some kids sign up yesterday.
gosh.
But last we checked, it looked like we had a record number of adults and teens signed up, which is excellent. But
Everybody
we've had some very
Happy to get out.
Yeah.
We've had some very good participation. So Lita and I are now working on our fall programs. So keep an eye on the calendar. I actually just added one to our calendar online today. We will be having a woman who talks about how to live with a more frugal lifestyle with a lower environmental footprint. She and her husband and 3 kids sold just about everything they owned and traveled the country in an RV. And now are in Connecticut. That's where they've moved to. And she's gotten incredible reviews from other libraries that have had her, so she will be doing a program for us. We have a program on songbirds of the Northeast that I am finalizing the date for. But yes, so watch. And Lita, I know, she just put a whole bunch of stuff on the calendar today, so we're finalizing fall programs. And I even booked one for January, so. And everyone has been told, everyone that I've booked with has been told that, we're tentatively booking in person, except for the woman who does the frugal living and low environmental impact does prefer to do Zoom because she has children, which is fine. We have that flexibility. But we've been telling everyone that, look, we're booking in person, but you understand that this could change depending on what's going on. And everybody's been totally fine with that. So, but yeah, so keep an eye on the calendar because the list is slowly growing.
Are they going to start story times in September?
Story times will start in September. There will be 3 a week for different age groups. Deb Hudgens will be coming back once a month. She will be on Thursdays, I know that. Don't ask me when story times are. Lita was working with the libraries around us to try to make sure that everybody had things on different days. So not everybody had story time for like the 3 to 5 year olds on the same day. But yes, the story time will start up in September. Budget, we haven't had time to spend anything. We're pretty much where we should be in terms of budget. Yeah, it's the first month of the fiscal year. There's not, and I'm still waiting for a couple of the final numbers from last fiscal year. So hopefully I'll have that end of year report for the next board meeting. There's been a couple that Debbie has not gotten finalized yet. So. And then facility report, we are still waiting on the parts for the digital sign. I think they've gone like via Australia or something. They swear they shipped, but HVAC, the part is in. So now we're just working to schedule Fran getting here, and of course he went on vacation, so we're
It's
waiting.
summer.
It's summer, that's
It's
how it is, so
summer.
we're waiting for him to get back.
Can you track the parts for the sign, though? Do you have a tracking number?
I left a message with American LED today and was like, guys, what did you, excuse me.
Didn't we just fix something? Because I remember we fixed
Yeah, we
something and I
did.
drove by the next
So
day and
we
the whole
fixed-
other side was out.
We fixed, there are multiple power, whatever the heck the name of the power
I
part
trust you.
is. I don't know. It's what the guy from the company told me. The guy from the Graphics Unlimited, who's our local person, told me to order. I trust him.
Yeah.
But we replaced one, and now we need to replace the others on the same side, which I should probably have figured that if one went, the others were gonna go, but anyhow, so.
It just seems like that sign is not that old, that anything should
Yeah,
already have
no,
gone on it.
the one that we had to replace before was due to the lightning strike
Oh,
that we
that's right.
had.
Yep.
And my theory would be that the same lightning strike weakened the other two that
The
are on
insurance
that.
could cover it, maybe. They
We
do
have,
with
we
wells.
have maxed out at this point our insurance settlement, so.
All right, never mind.
We're on the hook. But the gentleman from Graphics Unlimited did make the recommendation, which I followed, to order one extra. So if it happens again, we will have it, and he can just come and install it. So the cameras will be fixed this week. Gino was up to do one part, and then he had to wait for another piece, and so he will be here in theory Thursday or Friday, but he's good. If he says he'll be here this week, he will be here this week.
And you said earlier, the camera lights up the proposed new.
Oh yeah, there's a
vacant
camera.
lot.
There's a camera that covers the vacant lot. In
Excellent.
fact, there's two on that end
Excellent.
of the building, so
Good.
we're fine
Cool.
down
And
there.
if we're running electricity out there, we can always put
We can
another
always,
one.
we do have another,
Yeah.
we have another 2 slots in the system that we could add additional cameras if we felt the need, so.
And it probably would be a good idea.
probably.
Only
Yeah,
because if
and-
we're gonna have a lower fence,
Yeah.
you have to question accessibility.
Yeah.
When we lock our side, that
Yeah.
things
Um,
get
Think about.
Side that
But
isn't
it does,
as open.
it does cover quite well that lot, the camera that's there, so.
Awesome.
And then the other facility thing, so for those of you who are not aware, Hugh Crawford's memorial will be held at the library on Saturday, September 18th, which means that we will have to be closed to the public for that day. But so we have a very long list of all of the stuff that needs to get done before the 18th. George has already started on some of it, so like if you drove by the library today, you'll notice that the hedges out front are significantly more compact than they were. But so if you come into the library and hear, banging or something, we're hanging things and getting, all of the little odds and ends taken care of.
So the date was picked, is there a time?
The church service, which
Mhm.
is a reconciliation, is at 10:30.
Okay. So it'll be
That'll
after
be
that.
about an hour and 15 minutes, I'm guessing.
But
Yeah.
there will be caterers and such coming in, so the
Exactly.
family will need the building beginning.
Oh, yeah, we just won't open, because
Yeah,
then
we-
they
we-
will go do a private burial
Mhm.
and then come back to the
Come back to
library.
use the
Yeah,
funds.
so we're just gonna have to the
Yeah, we
building's
just won't,
theirs,
yeah.
and Lita and I will be there that morning to let them in and give them whatever support they need. So the one question I did have for the board, so we normally open on Saturdays, the Saturday after Labor Day,
Mhm.
which would be the 11th.
Mhm.
So that would mean that we would open for 1 week and then close for a week and then open back up. My
25th.
feeling is that that's going to confuse our patrons. We do not get a lot of use on Saturdays in the fall. Actually, we don't get a lot of use on Saturdays anyway.
I don't know, we've been closed so long.
So
that-
my personal feeling is that it just makes more sense to just not open until the 25th. Like I said, Saturdays, until the winter comes, Saturdays are very, very quiet unless we have a program going on.
I personally don't want to see it closed on the 11th. I'd like to see it opened. Only because we've been closed for a whole year
Yeah.
and people are just starting to come back. We put signs up when we're off, when we're closed.
I like
There's going to
the
be a
idea.
closing.
Yeah, I like the idea that these signs would be up saying that,
Yeah.
there will be this memorial, so we're closed for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like it, if people are used to opening this day, they can open it, but like, I don't know, some kind of, memory for people, like this is happening,
Yeah.
rather than kind of being
Oh, yeah,
quiet
well, I
about
mean,
it.
we have to put signs up telling them
Right.
which day we're opening anyway,
Mhm.
so.
I personally think we should open on the 11th. I don't know how everyone else feels. And then have signs up that we're closed for the memorial on the 18th.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm not strong
I
either
don't,
way,
I don't
see
think
it.
people are gonna be standing at the door waiting.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I know that I can just tell you
Things
statistics-wise
change
that,
so quick
It'd be
anyways.
confusing.
that it's gonna confuse them if
Yeah,
we're
if they
open
say,
one
"Oh,
Saturday
yeah,
and they'll be like,
so-"
oh, the library's open, because trust me, even if we say we're not, they're going to.
Can we turn the, skip that one and then the one after the event, make it a different kind of opening, a
Make
really
it a
big
grand,
opening.
yeah, I think, make it a to-do.
Yeah.
I mean, we can have some
Saturday
kind of
grand
event on the
And then
25th.
it has a focus.
The week
Yeah.
after.
Actually, that's the
Focus.
book sale. That's the
Oh,
Friends
it's that
book
day?
sale
Book
is that
sale
week.
this year, huh?
So that would be, we're opening
It's
with
already
the
a
book
to-do.
sale.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, so that would be, we're
Make a
back
big
on
start.
Saturdays and it's our first book sale in over it would be a year and a half at that point.
Yeah.
On the 25th.
I would like it to open on the 11th.
I know.
That's my feeling, that's
Yeah, I
all.
just-
It'd just be nice to see it open as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I just know that we're not gonna have that many people, you know, we.
So then it really won't matter.
But
We're not
then
gonna have many people.
we'll have those same people back the week after saying,
But we're gonna
you
have
were open
signs, you
last
said there'll
week.
be signs up and they'll
Oh,
be.
it doesn't.
Necessarily read.
No, I know, but I'm just saying
Doesn't
that.
matter, you know, we're gonna be turning.
Yeah, like if you say the library's gonna be open on Saturday, the 11th, and then the next sign says the library will
Be
be
closed on
Oh,
Saturday the
right.
18th, there, yeah,
It's
it's,
just a whiplash, yeah.
it's.
I must admit, I'd like his grand opening on the 25th.
Yeah.
Maybe even make it a little bigger to do than just the book sale.
I mean, we can come up with something.
Yeah. Give them something.
Yeah, something for the fun for the kids.
Raffles.
Oh, yeah, we'll
I
get
don't know,
people
something.
and,
Yeah, summer reading really drew. It was funny, like we were talking last time how it was empty every time all of us went in, and then now with summer reading, it's like a totally different.
well,
Totally different vibe.
there's also a lot of the things that would normally be open during the summer for kids are not this
Yeah.
year. So
And
we
so it's
are
even more
one
important.
of the things that they can do, yeah.
I wonder the same with like the Saturdays when school starts. The kids need the computers and like, you know.
Yeah, you would
College will be
think
back in
that,
session.
but
Yeah.
September,
Right.
October is
Not so
Saturdays are just kind of dead. I think partially because they have started back to school and it's like, okay, now I have a weekend
Hmm.
and I don't have to, like, you know, we don't see them until on Saturdays until the winter.
Yeah.
Who do we normally get on Saturday? Is it adults or students or?
Mostly senior citizens, and it'll be. I mean, you can go all day on a Saturday and have 6 or 8 people in the building on a fall Saturday.
Especially
You
if
don't.
it's a good day for yard sales.
Yeah, or you
Craft
know,
fairs, the whole town's gonna be opening
So
up
many
for the
things that
fall.
happen in
It's
September.
gonna be
I
wham
think
bam.
Waiting until the one big thing, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. But the book sale, that would be a good focus.
That's a nice focus, yeah. And just if we could
Everybody's
do something,
been
maybe,
waiting. A little
maybe
extra.
something for the kids.
yeah.
you
Well,
know.
I'll talk to Lita and see if we can come up with something for that book sale weekend. But
So we'll close that first Saturday and have a big grand opening. Is
On the 25th.
yeah,
Yeah.
that Saturday we
Yeah.
can do something.
You cooking?
Absolutely not. No, my husband's like, "Are you coming home? Where's dinner? Where's dinner? I cook enough."
You can make cookies a day in advance.
Could make cookies.
There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, cookies I could do.
Yeah, well,
Pies.
Oh.
What would that be?
The last couple of meetings we've been hearing about pies.
There you
Yeah.
go.
That strawberry rhubarb.
Yeah. All right, so there'll be a grand opening on the 25th of September for our
yes,
Saturday openings.
we'll do something spiffy. I'll talk to Lita this week about coming up with something.
All right, the next thing on the agenda, I'll just do quickly, is every 3 years, we review the Board of Trustees bylaws. So everybody was sent a copy of the bylaws, and they're there for you to look at. This is our opportunity to make changes. Are we allowed to add or anything like that? I don't, like if there was something,
Add, delete,
add,
you know,
delete, this is the
edit.
opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm asking everyone to review the bylaws and send me your changes. And Pat has already been kind enough to work on hers.
Well, that's because we started thinking about it last year and.
Yes. So if Pat, you want to tell them like what you, if, I don't know if everybody has a copy of the bylaws with them.
Well, one of the recommendations that I have is if you go to Article 1, Section 1.2, there are 6 trustees, each serving for terms of 3 years. What I recommended adding was, there are 6 trustees, all registered voters and residents of the town of Dudley, each serving terms of 3 years, because that's a requirement, and not everyone knows that.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
And then it says that the voters of the town elect 2 trustees at the annual town election. Well, maybe they do, but maybe they don't. If someone leaves the board, and then there's only one more year to serve, then you've got the 3-year and the one person running for 1 year. So just saying that trustees are elected by the voters at the annual town election.
Yeah, keep it simple.
And just
Yeah.
leave
Because
it
it gets
at that.
convoluted.
Yeah.
Right.
You can have variations of the theme.
Yeah.
So that's a change, that's
Yep,
kind of what I'm
good.
talking about. If anybody has any ideas to
Yeah.
review all the bylaws, and if you can bring them with you to next month's meeting, and then we can put any changes
Actually,
together.
It might be easier to put all the changes together first and then review them all at the meeting.
Mhm. Then you all need to send them.
To me.
Send them,
Yeah.
send them to Pat, and she does a really nice highlight job. Will you
I
take
guess
on that, will
colors,
you
sure.
take
I
that
can
job on
certainly
for me,
do that,
Pat?
yeah.
Okay. All right, so that, MLA, it was
Actually,
nice to have the MLA
I would
here.
just say, if you could send them to me maybe a week or two before the meeting.
So within the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, so Pat can put that all together. All right, it was nice to have MLA Studios here tonight, to go over some nice concepts for our space. We do need to come up with a name, so.
The vacant lot. I mean, it's so sad.
What should I call it? Is the vacant lot
landscape
project?
project.
Yeah.
Everything,
vacant
everything in my
lot.
computer, should I keel over, is saved under the vacant lot project, so.
I really would like to come up with a catchy name and involve the Crawfords and Pearl if it need be, you know what I mean, something.
Yeah, let's get like an email, chain going with some ideas. That way over the next month, everyone can kind of shoot out the ideas, and we'll have, next meeting we can have a huge list and
Yep.
kind of smoothie it or pick our favorite or.
Yeah.
You probably won't have a huge list, but yeah.
Yeah.
Even if huge is like 4, it's better than.
This is good.
So,
Try to leave Oyster
we
out
do
of it.
need to have a name. We'd like to have a name for our project.
Knoll, or
I don't know, is
what
that
is the
some?
most, what are the most prevalent trees there? Like you wouldn't call
Norway
Invasive,
maples?
invasive maples.
Invasive.
Maples, yeah.
Yeah,
The
let's
poison
get a
ivy
list
project.
and then before it becomes the vacant maple ivy.
I like it. I'm gonna rename everything the vacant maple ivy project.
All right, so that's something that we need to work on, is coming up with a catchy name. And it would be really nice if we did come up with something next month, because then at his memorial, if you're talking it up with the family, you could say,
Exactly.
what the
Yeah.
name is,
Yeah.
what we come up with. The next part is approval of transfers. So every year we do an annual transfer from the endowment. And what was the other one? The endowment and
We have 2 endowments.
two, all right, that's what it is.
2 endowments.
Yep.
When the Crawfords from day one supported us, even
Mhm.
before we had the concept, they gave us money just for planning stages and everything. They were great all the way through. When they gave us the $2 million to build the library,
Mhm.
unbeknownst to us at that moment, they started another fund, they started a fund at
Yeah.
Greater Worcester
Yep.
for the benefit of the library. And we have used that for programming. And so we will probably ask tonight to take out the usual 15,000 and have that transferred down to, which fund do you like it in?
Is it the gift?
The gift
Yes,
account.
it gets
Yeah,
used,
to
it
go
gets
to gift.
transferred to the gifts account, and then we.
But we have to have a vote of us,
Yes.
because then we fill out the form and send it off to Greater Worcester, and they will send down.
So it was
a check.
$10,000. Last year was the first year we did
15, right.
$15,000.
And you think we need?
I would say 15, just because that gives us a cushion if, I don't know, some incredible opportunity for something comes up.
Yep. And I think we need to look at taking out the amount that for MLA.
That's the next thing.
That, yeah.
That
So
will be the
we'll
next
do
one.
two
Let's
separate?
do 2, yes, please.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we ask for a transfer from Greater Worcester Community Foundation, a check for $15,000 made out to the Pearl L. Crawford Memorial Library.
Gift
and
account.
To the gift account, and that's going to come from the designated fund up there, which is the Hugh and Harriet Crawford Fund, Endowment Fund.
Okay.
So that gives us what we've usually done.
Mhm.
That's okay.
I second.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get that from you
Okay.
all again.
Yeah, I can do that.
definitely cannot keep up with that.
I can do
I've been doing really well all night, and then I'm like,
And
then
then
he
he
did
goes
that.
and
Yeah,
goes.
I was like,
I know.
good, yeah.
All right. Ask
And-
for a vote, please. We get that
Yes,
one
so
done.
are we all in favor? Any more questions or any discussion?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Terrific.
Unanimous?
Okay. Then, for this particular project, the
Mm-hmm.
vacant lot fund, when the library is finished built, we were fortunate enough to have monies left over because of the slip in construction during that time.
Mhm.
And so we ended up with extra money. But it was Crawford's money, and the way it was worded, first
Mm-hmm.
in, first out. So we were able to set up another account by the trustees, and that's called,
And that was also approved by the Board of Selectmen.
yes, we went before the Board of Selectmen to get that approved, and that's the Pearl L. Crawford Memorial Endowment Fund at Greater Worcester,
Okay.
and we haven't really used that, and this is a perfect opportunity to use that.
Okay.
So I was talking to Drusilla, and to begin with, we were talking about taking $50,000 out of that, again, made out to the Pearl L. Crawford Memorial gift account.
No,
No,
it
we're
goes
gonna
to
make
the
that,
Pearl
we're
L.
gonna
Crawford
start that as separate
Checks,
accounts.
checks need to be made out to the library, and then when they come in, I designate which
Account.
Fund.
account
Yeah.
they
So a
go
new
it'll
to.
be-
account has been
A
created.
new account
Yeah,
has
so
been
this will
created
just be
for
made
this.
out to Pearl L. Crawford Memorial Library,
Yes.
sent to Drusilla, and
Yep.
she'll make sure it goes into this new
Yep,
account
and then I
that we're gonna run this
put them in the
project
right
out.
places.
Yep.
And so that'll be for $50,000.
All right, so then that means we're gonna have to do another withdrawal at some point in time.
Exactly.
And our first payments, I mean, when I looked at their thing, like the first payment was like 38 or 40,000, I thought, was the first
Because they're
money.
billing us every 30 days,
Every 30
in
days,
theory,
so-
although we haven't gotten a bill yet, so
No, we did already pay out something.
we
'Cause
paid for the
it out of
survey.
For the survey.
We paid the
That was for the
survey.
survey.
That was
Part of
not
the
Studio
project.
MLA,
No,
that
but
was,
it's just part of
yes.
the
Is
project.
50,000 enough to take out for that, for if it's gonna be coming monthly?
Well, we'll do
We
this
can take
monthly if
more.
we have to. We
My
can do
We
whatever
can always
we
do
want.
it.
I would
Take
say
more later.
70,000 so that,
So we
could do
the
it
monthly bill
once.
is how much?
well, not the monthly, no,
We
no,
don't,
no,
we
no.
don't know how much the monthly is
Monthly
yet, because we
bill.
haven't gotten one.
Yeah,
Okay.
not the monthly bill. I'm just looking at the overall project that MLA
Right?
perceived it was like 50, oh, I wish I had that paperwork
Yeah, I was
with me
gonna
right
say,
now.
I didn't pull
But
it
it was like 60,000 was their overall, it was just under, I
Yeah,
thought,
for there,
60,000, right there. So my feeling is.
We can take what we want. It's our prerogative.
Yeah, I would do all of it so we don't have to keep approving.
So that was 60, and so with surveying, until they bring in their specialist, which won't be till next year, we'll be set there. So, all right, I'll amend my motion to make it 70.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Good.
All right. Other business? I don't know if anyone has any other business that they wanted to discuss?
Yes, I had sent with my director's report a draft of an annual report, which we need to make to the Mass Board of Library Commissioners. And that is, we submit a strategic plan to them every 3 to 5 years. But submitting an annual plan to them allows us, if we feel so moved, to apply for grant funding from them, which we haven't in the past, but it's good to have the option. So I had sent the draft, which is essentially a copy and paste of last year's, updated, because obviously last year was a total wash.
I don't know if I ever have that. You sent that?
I sent it with my report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did look at it, yeah.
Yeah.
And Lita and I had sat down and gone through it, so, she's on the same page, so, I don't know if the board had any questions about that, or if the board is willing to approve that tonight, so I can send that off, or if you wanna wait till next month. It is, as I said, it's essentially copy and pasted from the one that was
Oh, I
approved
think
last year.
I did read this.
It's good. Last year was just,
Hopefully a fluke that never happens again.
yes, hopefully, and some of the things on there we are actually already working on, but, it's good to
I did look at that.
have the official notification. And like I said, we do have to submit that to the state at the beginning of the fiscal year.
Would there be any reason we wouldn't be able to approve that tonight?
I don't think so.
I read it, and I had one question, but it saved my life. I can't remember what I did with it. But it obviously wasn't huge, so.
You didn't write it down.
Yep, no, I didn't.
Usually
Nope,
you write
done.
everything down,
Exactly,
so-
I'm a scribbler. So, no, I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'd second.
All in favor, no discussion, all in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
I've
Thank
got one
you.
thing I just wanna
Check
send
that off
around,
tomorrow.
The Memories Project, and take a sheet off the top. I hope there's enough there. And we're just going forward.
But did you
with it.
spell my name right?
That was in the press release.
Your name's not even on it.
Yeah, the draft press release, he spelled my name wrong, so I'm allowed to give him a hard time for that.
So this is what the Historical Commission is going to announce. And we'll work it out of the library. It'll just be, essentially, as we called it, what normally would be hidden in the building, and then somebody forgets it and never sees it, and then they tear the building down, and they look at it and think, oh yeah, what was that all about? It's just an ongoing history.
You mean like the rock circle?
Yeah. Yeah, like the block circle, where you're going.
We're gonna ask you about
Like the
that.
one in Dudley Hill, when we opened it up by mistake and it was all full of water. You know,
Oh,
it was like,
no.
oh, well, that didn't help either.
That's a nice idea.
But this is just, I want to get it out in a press release so that teachers going into the fall now can start thinking, maybe this is something they can slip in their curriculum. Or older people can write little notes.
The Crawfords are gonna be on our doorstep with materials,
Awesome.
because they have closed up his house down in Florida.
Yeah.
And I said, that's fine, Ed will gladly help.
I have
But we'll need another
materials.
room and an archivist.
Maybe.
You have an archivist, I just need a preservation lab.
There you
If we're
go.
gonna build things, build me a lab.
I really need to get home and make
So,
dinner so my 4-year-old
this
can go to
is-
bed.
Oh, my goodness.
My husband's like, I can't believe you're still there. 4-year-old needs food. But I love this. Do
Yeah.
you guys need me or can I scoot?
It's a good one if you're working with your kids or something and you just want to focus them on,
Yeah,
you know, you just
something.
say, oh, I know what, we can do this. And it's short and it's-
Yeah.
make your own thing.
So you're gonna submit it to like the Times?
Yeah, we have,
Yes.
we have a draft press release. so we should-
Yes.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have, we'll have a quorum with that, yes.
So
Yes.
It's okay.
I'm
Get
good
out
for
of
this.
the
It's
way.
okay. Thank
You're
you.
a 4-year-old.
Thank you.
We don't want him mad at you. We want you here.
yeah.
When we can have you.
You can come back next month.
Good night.
Looks good to me, Ed.
That's nice.
Yep.
Like you said, things that get put away and you forget about them. And what's nice, it's not sealed away, it's available, so it's great.
I don't know, I like it.
Yeah.
Do we have to approve that, or no?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
The Historical Commission's doing it,
Yeah.
and it's in conjunction with the library,
Library.
because that's
Nice.
where we're gonna want it.
Yeah,
We
we
don't
do.
want it to go in the vault in this building.
Right.
We want it to be available. And it's great for genealogists and historians, you know, if they want to paw through this stuff.
Yep.
Nice.
Maybe not immediately, but
Right.
in another decade, they'll say, what the hell did they do during the
And I had,
Pandemic.
I have already, before we took all the caution tape and stuff down, I took pictures of the library as it was
There you
during the
go.
pandemic and saved some of the signs that we had up so that those are already in there.
Posterity, hopefully we don't get that again.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Yeah.
All right, that looks good, Ed.
Depressing.
Any other business?
When we did the, was it the second charrette, the Dudley Ranch Trust said that there would be monies available if we needed it for something like that, or the Maslin?
The Malice and
Malice
Trust, I
and
was thinking of
Trust.
that too. We
Trust.
can ask for them.
He said that that was.
It
Well, I
is
think that's
right up
already
their
passed.
alley.
We've already
Love
passed
to
the
do.
deadline.
Oh, no,
Passed
they,
that
but
for
we,
this year.
we can get into the next
That's,
loop.
yeah, that's
Right, yeah,
next
next year
April.
we'll need
Yeah.
it. And they
Yep,
said
yep.
they would love to do something for the community.
Exactly.
With this plot in mind.
Right.
They said, please ask us, we're here,
Yeah.
we wanna get
We-
involved.
Are you
We
talking
will
about
get
the
them.
Dudley Conservation?
Or the.
I don't know how much money they're talking about.
Yeah, they,
putting
when
into the
they
project.
originally came to offer money to the library, it was a couple $100s.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what they
this
were
is-
talking. They were
this is-
not talking like have 50,000. It
Right,
was,
yeah.
yeah.
But
But
we
this
have
is,
to talk.
this is definitely
If
something we
they-
should ask for Malice.
If they're willing and they would love to be involved, we can ask them, how would you love to be involved?
Exactly.
They can donate a swing.
Right.
I like
Yeah,
it.
Well, that's what they want, they want to do something like that, to put someone's name on it. I
Mhm.
can't remember the name of the fellow, but someone who's passed, who was a, you know.
Well, I mean, even the storyboards, if that becomes part
Yeah.
of this, each storyboard could be.
Could have a spot.
Could have be
name to
sponsored
remember,
by.
you know, in memory of
If-
somebody.
Yeah, that's, yeah, that would be nice.
Or anyone.
All right, not to keep anyone any longer, any board members' comments? We're never usually this late, I feel bad for Nikki, but we're not usually running this late. If there's no other board members and comments, our next meeting will be August 24th at 6:15. And I will accept
Motion
a
to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Ends out the door.
No, I'm coming over to see my buddy.
August 24th.
Ben,
Yes.
you have the forms.
That's
Yes.
it.